Seven conjures up images of the seven deadly sins: gluttony, wrath, envy, and all the rest here on Gilligan's Isle. Or the movie Seven. Good movie, go watch it. But Seven was a character in WCW. And if you remember him, you have a very good memory because he wasn't around for long. And yes, he was played by Dustin Rhodes. Now, let's set up the scene here in 1999. Dustin Rhodes, tired of playing outlandish characters, leaves WWF and goes to WCW, where his father, Dusty Rhodes, has an idea for the character Seven. Now, we're not quite sure what he was going with Seven, but let me explain what the promos with Seven were like. Dusty Rhodes would appear in a black hat, black cloak, black gloves, his face painted, his whole head painted completely white, and he would appear outside of a child's bedroom. And the child he would get the child's attention, and he would speak with his voice distorted, telling the child to come with him, and that, basically it was basically come with him and see the true hellish nightmare or whatever. And then he had a horse that he called the Pale Horse. And this went on for several months. Now, then Vince Russo came in as head writer of WCW. Vince Russo did not come up with Seven. Just want to reiterate that. Vince Russo did not come up with Seven. And it was time for Seven to make his TV debut. Vince Russo respected what Dusty Rhodes and Dustin were doing with Seven. There was a problem, though. There was a child and a baby crib in all of Seven's vignettes leading up to Seven's debut. And he was telling the child to come with him, leading Standards and Practices to believe that Seven was some sort of child abductor. And many other people believed this too, that he was a child abductor, that he was a child molester. This is what happens in WCW during this time. So Vince Russo had to pull the plug on Seven. But instead of just forgetting about it, he sent Dusty Rhodes, he sent Seven out to the ring, full Seven makeup and costume, and then had Dustin Rhodes in his own voice just go on a work shoot about how he hates Seven, he hated Goldust, he wanted to come in WCW and be Dustin Rhodes again. Pretty much how he hates these outlandish gimmicks. And Seven was dead. What happened to the Pale Horse? We assume it found a new rider. So Seven was dead. He was some sort of child abductor or molester, and the character was dead. And so Dustin Rhodes then started wrestling as Dustin Rhodes. Vince Russo, Vince Russo had to kill it. And WCW, as you know, went out of business a few years later. Actually, WWF tried to let Dustin Rhodes wrestle as Dustin Rhodes for a little bit in the Attitude Era, but he didn't get over. Dustin Rhodes would later go back and portray Goldust again, and would portray a wacky and would portray an outlandish character in TNA called Black Rain. So I think in AEW is the first time he's really portraying himself, because himself has never gotten him over. Well, that's it for this week. Now you know about 7. Join me later in the week where we will look at the movie The Necro Files. Something that they're doing more drugs while making than Dusty was doing drugs while creating 7.